Love Caitlin, love how she's transcended the game. I'm not going to go away from that, but in the open, we said, what makes a top 5 player? Winning. The only strike against Caitlin Clark is that she has not won a national championship. And that is the only thing that you can put against her, because the way she has dominated the record books when she was at Iowa was something you cannot duplicate. She's a 3-time NCAA scoring leader and assist leader, a true point guard for the people, 3-time All-American, 2-time Naismith Player of the Year, 2-time AP Player of the Year, all-time leading scorer. She broke the records of Kelsey Plum and Sabrina. Like, literally, there is nobody who has been such a front-facing name.
All right, Steve. Caitlin Clark took Iowa to back-to-back national championship games.
I mean, she didn't win, though. She didn't win.
Kate Martin, but Breanna Stewart, who's on this list, played at UConn with a bunch of other pros, a bunch of other WNBA players. Is this comes down to whether you believe being a part of a stacked team at UConn or South Carolina and winning a national championship, is that more impressive than sticking with your little home school, not surrounded by great talent, and carrying them all the way to the brink of championships back-to-back years?
Controversial take that's been making waves in the basketball world. ESPN has found yet another reason to snub Caitlin Clark, one of the most transformative players in women's basketball. Despite her incredible collegiate career and skyrocketing WNBA success, ESPN recently left Clark off their list of the top 5 women's college basketball players of all time. Let's break down why this decision is sparking outrage and whether the criticism holds any ground. First off, let's talk about why Caitlin Clark is widely regarded as one of the most influential athletes in the world. During her collegiate career at Iowa, she rewrote the record books. She became the NCAA's all-time leading scorer. Across both men's and women's basketball led Iowa to back-to-back national championship appearances, a feat that transformed the Hawkeyes into a powerhouse. Her electrifying play style and leadership were must-see TV, drawing millions of viewers. So why is ESPN refusing to give her the recognition she deserves? In a recent segment, ESPN analysts ranked the top 5 women's college basketball players of all time. The likes of Breanna Stewart, Brittany Griner, and Diana Taurasi made the cut. And while those legends absolutely deserve their flowers, Caitlin Clark's exclusion has left fans scratching their heads. The justification. According to ESPN's Ariel Chambers, Clark's lack of a national championship is her biggest strike. But does that argument really hold up? Let's dive deeper. While it's true that Caitlin Clark never won a national championship, let's consider the circumstances. She went head-to-head against dominant programs like LSU and South Carolina, teams stacked with future WNBA stars. Despite this, Clark carried Iowa to places the program had never been before. Before her arrival, Iowa had missed the NCAA tournament in 3 out of 5 seasons. She completely turned the program around, and let's not forget, winning a championship is a team accomplishment. If titles were the only standard, then players like Bill Russell would automatically be considered the greatest, regardless of individual skill. Even without a national title, Clark's resume is undeniable. 3 NCAA single-season scoring titles, 3 NCAA assist titles, 2 National Player of the Year awards, NCAA's all-time scoring leader, multiple All-American selections. Her ability to consistently perform at the highest level, breaking records and dominating the court, makes her omission from ESPN's top 5 list even more baffling. So why the disrespect? Some argue that Caitlin Clark's prominence and influence may be working against her. When someone is at the peak of their career, it's sometimes harder for analysts to give them their due credit. But years from now, when we look back, it'll be impossible to deny her legacy. The Caitlin Clark era of college basketball will be remembered as one of the most exciting and impactful periods in the sport's history. And eventually, ESPN will have no choice but to recognize her rightful place among the greatest. To truly understand the magnitude of Caitlin Clark's snub, let's compare her achievements to some of the legends ESPN did include in their top 5. Breanna Stewart, 4 NCAA championships and multiple accolades at UConn, no doubt a generational talent. Brittany Griner, a dominant force who led Baylor to a national title and was a 2-time Naismith Award winner. Diana Taurasi, one of the most clutch players ever, with 3 national titles under legendary coach Gino Auriemma. But here's the thing. Caitlin Clark's statistical dominance surpasses most of these legends. She averaged 28 points per game during her senior season, leading the nation. Her playmaking ability was second to none, recording multiple triple-doubles and consistently making her teammates better. And let's not forget that Clark shattered the NCAA all-time scoring record, a mark that stood for decades. When you weigh individual brilliance and impact on the sport, Clark's name undeniably belongs in that top 5 conversation. ESPN, as a leading sports network, has immense influence in shaping public opinion. By excluding Clark from their top 5, they contribute to a narrative that undervalues her impact. Some analysts argue that this could be a case of recency bias, where Clark's achievements are dismissed because she's still in the spotlight. Others suggest that it could be rooted in the long-standing tendency to diminish the accomplishments of athletes who break the mold, especially women's athletes. It's disappointing because Caitlin Clark has done more than enough to deserve her spot among the greats. Despite ESPN's snub, the fans have spoken. Caitlin Clark's games consistently drew record-breaking viewership. The 2024 NCAA championship game between Iowa and South Carolina pulled in over 18 million viewers, making it one of the most watched basketball games in recent history. Merchandise sales skyrocketed, and WNBA attendance has seen a significant boost since Clark entered the league. It's clear that Clark has not only elevated her own status, but also expanded the reach of women's basketball as a whole. That type of influence is rare, and it's something ESPN should be celebrating, not diminishing. Here's the bottom line. While ESPN may not be ready to acknowledge Caitlin Clark's greatness, history certainly will. Just like we reflect on the careers of Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or Sue Bird with awe, the Caitlin Clark era will be remembered as a pivotal moment in the sport's growth. Young girls are now picking up basketballs, inspired by her fearless play and limitless shooting range. The impact she has made goes far beyond stats and championships. She's changed the game itself. And mark my words, as her WNBA career continues to flourish, this debate will only grow louder. Now let's dig a little deeper into the argument that Caitlin Clark's lack of a national championship somehow diminishes her greatness. Winning a championship is undoubtedly an incredible accomplishment, but it doesn't define a player's individual legacy. Think about WNBA legends like Lisa Leslie or Candace Parker. Their greatness wasn't solely defined by rings, but by their dominance on the court. And let's not forget Karl Malone or Charles Barkley in the NBA. No rings, but their names are still etched in basketball history. Clark's impact went beyond titles. She made Iowa basketball relevant on the national stage, broke records, and inspired countless fans. To judge her solely on the absence of a championship is not only unfair, but completely misses the point. Another point that critics overlook is how Clark thrived against the toughest competition. She wasn't just padding her stats against lower-tier teams. In fact, Clark delivered some of her most iconic performances against defensive powerhouses. Her game against South Carolina in the 2023 Final Four stands out. She dropped 41 points in a dazzling display, dismantling a defense that had been dominant all season. Even against LSU in the national championship game, Clark's relentless scoring kept Iowa in the fight. When the spotlight was brightest, Clark didn't shy away. She thrived. That's the mark of a true all-time great. Another reason Caitlin Clark's contributions stand out is how she accelerated the growth of women's basketball. With her Steph Curry-esque shooting range and jaw-dropping court vision, Clark expanded what was possible in the women's game. Fans who may have never tuned into a women's basketball game before suddenly found themselves captivated by Clark's style of play. Her presence in the WNBA has also contributed to rising viewership, proving that stars like Clark are bringing unprecedented attention to the league. In short, she's not just playing the game, she's reshaping it. But here's a thought. Could Clark's immense popularity be part of the reason for the backlash? Some analysts and fans argue that the media tends to overhype certain players while undervaluing others. While Clark has undoubtedly received massive media coverage, the backlash against her inclusion in major conversations often feels like an overcorrection. It's as if celebrating Clark's greatness somehow takes away from the accomplishments of other women's basketball legends. But the truth is, there's room for both. We can celebrate Breanna Stewart's dominance and Caitlin Clark's game-changing presence without diminishing either. And now, Caitlin Clark's story is only just beginning in the WNBA. She's already making waves with the Indiana Fever, consistently filling arenas and drawing massive TV ratings. Her rivalry with players like Angel Reese has also reignited excitement for the league, bringing in fans who are invested in their competitive matchups. If her college career is any indication, Clark's WNBA journey will be full of record-breaking moments and unforgettable highlights. And don't be surprised if she racks up championships there, proving once again why she belongs in every greatest of all time conversation. To sum it up, Caitlin Clark's exclusion from ESPN's top 5 women's college basketball players is disappointing, but not surprising. Her absence on that list doesn't diminish her accomplishments. It doesn't erase the impact she's made on the game, and it certainly won't stop her from continuing to prove her doubters wrong. Years from now, when we look back at Caitlin Clark's legacy, it won't be defined by ESPN's rankings. It will be defined by the memories she created, the records she shattered, and the way she inspired the next generation.